guys, we're back here with another part of What If Deku Lost His Memories. So, let's get straight into it. So, Izuku is going is currently in like the waiting area of the ground beta, where he will be participating in his practical entrance exam. Practical part of the entrance exam. So, when President Mike starts doing the countdown and the door slightly opens a little bit, Izuku takes this chance and runs straight towards it. Something I should mention here: Izuku is in like this casual wear, as he has a shura around his waist, the back of his waist. As Izuku dashes through the gate, leaving not really anything behind besides a giant kinda boom. When Izuku gets through, he sees all the 1 pointers, 0 pointers, and 3 pointers. As with each second going by, he takes out one. As he eventually gets faster and faster until he starts getting a little cocky and starts doing like some kind of trick with each one, until he gets he doesn't notice when a 3-pointer sneaks up from behind him and backhands him, as this is one of the 3-pointers from what they would use for the returning year 3s. As it went out of control, started going out of control, as Izuku being in a crater in the ground, as he starts blinking his eyes, as then he has this feeling of wanting to win, but then all that's going through his mind is, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose. As Izuku starts banging his fist into the rocks beside him, as eventually it starts getting louder and louder, as then he says out loud, "I'm so tired of losing." As when Izuku is fully stood up, he says some words that really hits a person that's watching him in the observation teacher's booth. Well, impactful to this person. As then Izuku says, he starts yelling, "I will win." As then he quickly unsheaths a shura and says, "Ashura Bunkai," as an immense amount of spiritual pressure blows off Izuku, as Ashura just turns into a giant kind of sword. This giant sword with flames just bursting off of it. As when Izuku, as in the observation booth, we see Inko there, as she looks at Izuku, as she notices the green hair, when she hears him say Bunkai, she's sure that it's her son. But now we come back to Izuku, as he pulls down the sword to his side, as he brings his other hand over the top of his face, as he pulls down, as his hollow mask forms. And when he does, he lets out a huge roar that it's heard outside of the UA building premises, as Izuku blitzes straight towards the robot that put him into the crater, as with one very quick motion, the robot is cut into scraps of what it was, with them all being melted together due to the flames. As Izuku's sword morphs down into a, well, still the same sword, but with no flames. As Izuku just starts slashing and slashing and slashing at the robots, as he transforms his sword into the scythe form of it, well, the scythe form of his Bankai, as it is also affected by his hollow form. As Izuku slightly lifts up his hollow mask, revealing his somewhat twisted smile, as he quickly pulls it down, as he lets out one more giant roar, as his hollow mask starts morphing into his Vaster Lorde state. But when Izuku enters his Vaster Lorde state with his scythe, it gets somewhat affected by his personality shifting quirk into more of a techie kind of, like, as it becomes his body develops this kind of like tech-like appearance, with the Saripa medallion part being on his chest, as this mechanical roar can be heard coming from Izuku, because in this state his mouth doesn't actually move, except you can hear like a robotic version of his voice. As this is still being the somewhat twisted Izuku, as he throws the scythe with such force that it creates a huge boom. As this takes out around 50 of, well, altogether 50 of the robots. As everybody is shocked at this, but with Inko watching this, seeing her son transform into this beast of himself, as she's seen his personality shifting at his worst and at his best. As Izuku starts running on all fours, attacking any robot that he saw, as he grabs onto his scythe, it coming straight back to him whenever he opens his palm to bring it back to him. He throws it down to the side, as it creates a boom, as like what happened when Ichigo first went into his Vaster Lorde stage. As Izuku just starts swinging his scythe around, as it's swinging quite fast, considering the size of it. As he sends one giant slash, as it creates a wave of energy in the form of a slash. As Izuku brings his scythe over his head and swings it down, with the end of the blade being in the concrete floor. As in the robotic voice, he says, "Astral Severance." As a giant shockwave of energy just spurts out of the ground, creating a slash kind of crater. As Izuku jumps into it, he starts bouncing off, as he then jumps out of it, as he transforms his scythe into a, well, katana. As then with this one, it, with a push of a button that's with his index finger, as, well, something I should tell you, the switch for where he switches the weapons is on like the back part, so he can control it with his thumb. For the for this specific weapon, it grows a button that his index finger controls, as small kind of like lines appear, as when the button is fully pushed, his katana extends into like this chain kind of whip sword, as he starts swinging it around, cutting more robots in half. As with another push of the button, it collapses back into the normal form of the sword. As everybody seeing this is shocked, as then Izuku lets out one more giant scream before he shifts back into his normal state, with him then holding his sword as he falls to the ground with his sword, well, his bunkai, holding him up, helping him up. As Nezu just happens to push the button to let out the zero pointer at this specific moment. What Izuku didn't happen to know while he was going on his somewhat rampage was that a girl was, well, running in trying to fight some robots. As then Izuku hears this scream as he sees the girl with some rubble holding her down from where the zero pointer came out and knocked a part of the building. As Izuku's eyes turn blue as his bunkai turns back into the normal state as he sheaths it. As with his body moving on its own, he pulls out his left arm straight, with his right arm pulling back like if it was a bow, and releasing this energy. As Izuku then falls to the ground and asks himself, what the hell was that? As the bolt of energy went straight through the skull of the zero pointer, as it starts falling forward, as all that's going through Izuku's mind is, I have to save her. As when Izuku looks at the girl, he gets flashbacks. Well, the girl starts flashing into this person with purple hair. Purple and gold hair. As Izuku just rushes straight for her, and with one arm picks up the boulder that's on her leg and throws it straight at the zero pointer. Well, what's left of the zero pointer's head. As Izuku picks up the girl and starts running with what strength he has left. As he gets around a couple meters from the entrance, as he puts the girl onto the ground and drops to the floor. As then Ashura starts saying, Izuku, what the hell happened? As everybody is hearing Ashura. As what normal people couldn't. I mean, people normally couldn't, but because Ashura can speak to anybody he wants, he just decides not to. But in this sporadic state that he's in, he doesn't make it so that only Izuku can hear him. As Izuku is unconscious, as around 3 hours go by, as Izuku wakes up in a hospital bed, with Ashura being in his person form, like humanist form. As when Izuku wakes up, he sees Ashura, and he sees a green-haired woman at the end of his bed. As we get a flashback to Inko in the observation booth. As when Izuku pulls out the since you have most likely watched Bleach, if you're watching this, he pulls out when Inko sees Izuku's Quincy bow, that's the moment she knew that Izuku was her son. As she gets a flashback to the moment when Izuku's dad dies. Well, when she thought he died. Izuku's father is in her arms as he says to Inko, make sure you tell Izuku when he's old enough that his Quincy powers will be extraordinary and that he'll really have to control what that'll do to him. As at this moment, Hisashi's eyes, for a brief time, glow this reddish color with a star in the center of his pupil. As Inko doesn't notice this, but then Hisashi starts fading away. As we cut back to now Inko, as she just goes straight out the door of the observation booth and runs straight for Izuku, as she picks him up, as then Ashura just turns into his human state, as he says, is he gonna be okay? As she says, I'm guessing you're his Zanpakuto. As Ashura says, how did you know? As the sword around Inko's waist starts talking into Ashura's head, as it says, how the hell do you think she has one? Well, okay. As Ashura asks Inko if she needs him to take Izuku to some kind of rest bed where he can heal up. As Inko says, yeah, there is a recovery station, a little bit that way. I'll take you there. Just, could you carry him? As Ashura says, well, I'd be happy to. I mean, he is my only friend. As with Inko and Ashura going to the infirmary, as we now cut back to the present, because you can guess what happened there. They waited for Izuku to wake up. When Izuku wakes up, he asks Ashura who the green-haired woman is, as Inko chimes in here and says, I'm your mother, Izuku. As Izuku asks Ashura, this true? As Ashura says, well, I don't know, I was never really there when you never really went to the human realm unless you really had to. What do you mean? Oh yeah, the Soul Society. You mentioned that before. So I'm guessing I spent most of my time there and didn't really come here. I mean, as Ashura replies back with, well, considering what you went through in here, that makes sense. As Izuku gets this flash of a person on the ground surrounded by blood, as he snaps back into the present, as he says to Inko, so you're my mother? As a couple minutes go by, as another, well, a girl, a young girl, someone that looks like around Izuku's age, but just looks smaller than, but is like around Inko's height. So the whole like height thing, Ashura is around 7'8". Izuku is like 6', 6'6". Inko is, say, around 5'5", as the girl and the young boy that are there. So the young girl is around Inko's height, and the young boy is, well, he's like small. He's like, well, he's 4 here. As the girl, when the girl rushes in, she says, "Is he awake? Is he awake?" As Inko replies back to the girl, "Yeah, he's awake." As she rushes to Izuku's side, as she said, Izuku, are you okay?" And with the young boy going behind Inko's leg. As Izuku asks the girl that's by his side who she is. As the girl replies back with, "You don't remember me?" As he replies back with, so I kind of lost my memory. I don't have any memories of, well, anybody besides the people that I met, like, half a year ago. As the girl replies back with, "Well, that makes sense. That's around the time that you went missing." I mean, that's not even around the time that you went missing. That's around the time that people started saying that they saw you. You went missing years before that. As she introduces herself as Harumi, his sister. As then she introduces the boy that is behind Inko's leg. As she introduces him as Izuru. As she says, "Mum named him after you because he looks just like you did when you were born." As Izuku has like some kind of like reality check like right at this moment, as he says, "So you're my sister, you're my mother, and you're my younger brother?" As Ashura chimes in here and says, "That seems to be yes, Izuku. So, how are you feeling as they start saying, so, how do you feel?" As Izuku says, "I feel fine, I guess." Well, as fine as someone who passed out while being like that. As around a month goes by, as Izuku gets more familiar with his family. Well, the family that he knew just now he remembers them. As then he gets a note in the mail saying that he got into UA. As everybody starts congratulating him. As then Harumi gets a note in the mail saying that she got into UA. As it is then revealed that Izuku and Harumi are twins. So that's how that really goes. Let's go to Izuku's first day. So Izuku and Harumi get there at around the same time. And well, it pretty much just goes as normal as canon. Izuku is surprised by the huge door. As this is when Ashura chimes in saying, "That's got to be a good door from considering my height." As then Izuku chuckles. As Harumi chimes in and says, "Are you talking to Ashura?" As Izuku then says, "Well, of course. He kinda lives in my head. Rent-free. It gets annoying sometimes, but really good at, chatting. He's also just really nice. I mean, considering the fact that he helped me get as strong as I am now, considering the whole me losing my memory, and apparently I had this strength before, so that's nice. So shall we go in? As Harumi replies back with, "Yeah, let's do that." As when they get in, there are just people introducing themselves to each other. As then Izuku and Bakugo's eyes meet. As Izuku is filled with this rage when he looks at Bakugo. And he doesn't know where it's coming from. As then we get a glimpse into the past, where Izuku is talking to Bakugo. As at this point, Izuku doesn't know anything about the power that he has. Well, as Izuku is telling Bakugo and the guys that are with him that he can be a hero, that he will be a hero. As Bakugo then chimes in with, "What power, Izuku? You have no power here. You have no power anywhere." As Izuku is really taken aback with this. As then this past Izuku gets a flash to the past where Harumi is sticking up to Bakugo and all that, but Harumi isn't here right now. So Izuku really has to do this by himself. As then Bakugo says, "If you really want a power that bad, why not just go to a swan dive off the roof of the building?" As Izuku is taken aback by this, as he starts thinking,
What if I did do that? I mean, it might make my work better. It most likely will make Kurumi's work better.
as Izuku is looking down at the sports field where Harumi is doing laps around the oval that they have at their school. As Izuku starts walking home, as he does get attacked by the sludge villain, and All Might does save him. Izuku does latch on to All Might's leg, and the whole same chat about "you can't be a hero" goes by. And this is the somewhat breaking point of Izuku, as the moment that Skinny Might leaves, Izuku is filled with this deep kind of depression. And he jumps off of the building where All Might stood. As then he just starts saying in his head, "Fuck you, Bakugo. I'm sorry, Harumi. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry, little world that I never got to meet. But it's just too much." And with this, Izuku's body plants with a huge thud on the ground. As then Izuku's body just starts fading away with this kind of crystally effect, as he then appears in the Soul Society with his mind not being erased and him not being reduced by age. He's just there. His current currently with him being in his with him being in his current well, he's in his school uniform, just bloodied. As then an old man walks by him and says, "You okay, kid? Were you attacked by a hollow or something?" As Izuku says, "Hello, what's that?" As then the old man brings Izuku back to his place. As Izuku tells him what happens. As the old man replies back with, "That's pretty sad. I'm a little shocked that your memories weren't erased when you came here. That usually happens. And you're not de-aged. Well, as the old man introduces himself as Taka, as he doesn't really give Izuku a last name because it's not really necessary. As, yeah, Taka gets Izuku some new clothes, as then a hollow breaks into Taka's house, as it says, "What is that delightful smell?" As it looks straight at Izuku, saying, "So you're this spiritual pressure that I've been smelling. You're going to be a delicious appetizer." As then the Hollow attacks him. But this is when Taka attacks the Hollow with a sword. As then he takes off the disguise, as it is revealed to be this man with pitch black hair and golden eyes. As you should probably get out of here, kid. I'll catch up with you in a couple seconds. I just have to deal with this Hollow. Yeah, you should probably stop running. As Izuku does. As around a minute goes by, as the man formerly known as Taka catches up to Izuku. As when Izuku was running away, he noticed the white apron. Well, I mean the white kind of kimono, the white kimono that he was wearing with 3 on the back of it. As then the guy says, I believe that you would be quite suitable for being a Soul Reaper. As Izuku says, so what? As Taka starts explaining what a Soul Reaper is. As Izuku says, so it's pretty much a hero. As Taka replies back with, I mean, I guess you could think of it as that way. So, you interested, kid? As Izuku replies back with, yeah, I think if, well, that's what you think, I'll do it. As Taka replies back with, great, considering your spiritual energy, you're going to be pretty strong. As Izuku then replies back with spiritual energy, as Taka sighs and says, you really don't know anything here. As then he explains why he was in the disguise of the old man, to see if Izuku was evil or not. As then Izuku enrolls in trying to be a Soul Reaper. As Izuku becomes an A+ student in the matter of, well, in the matter of like 5 months, as he's noticed by one of the prominent families at this time. As something I should mention, this takes place like over 1,000 years past Bleach time. And I know that Soul Reapers and like all that can live for like much longer than like normal people, but well, let's just say like the whole like old cast is dead. Yeah. As we cut to Izuku, as he has gotten to the point where he can say all the hardos without needing to use the incantation for it. As his teachers are amazed and shocked by this. As then, well, as I said before, he was noticed by one of the prominent families at this time. As he's introduced to the Arukas, as he is in the position of choosing one of the three daughters there to become his wife and adapt him into the family. As Izuku couldn't really make a choice, so he chose all three. And this is the moment where, and after that is the moment where he gets Ashura. And at this moment, he then gets Ashura's backstory to why he's there, and then tests Izuku on his power. As Izuku throws a couple hardos at Ashura, and Ashura at that point realizes that Izuku is a worthy person for him. As the whole backstory of Ashura is the whole Ashura's Wrath game. As Izuku is honored by the fact that Ashura has allowed him to be the wielder of, Ashura. As, that's how Izuku and Ashura met. And as this is the moment where Izuku cuts back to the present. And that will be the end of this part. Something I should mention. When I came up with this part of the What If, I was kind of struggling of a way to bring this whole past part of Izuku back to that version of Izuku. So I took this opportunity to use Bakugo as a form of a way to bring out some of Izuku's old memories. Which, if you like that, leave a comment. Also, subscribe if you want, like if you want. Hope you enjoy your day, night, or evening. Sayonara.